Pick up on none of your calls. In the parking lot, Tucson. Are you with me? When I stand with the roof gone, I pull up like Jimmy Neutron. Then you could get a new phone. Like you haul, and I know you need to go slow, but we could go faster. Maybe the best.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I know I'm early. Welcome in. If you do see this, we will be talking about the information that I have. Hey, about the Duggars. Oh my God, it's a lot, y'all. So, as you know, we're gonna start with Kendra family first because it's a little shorter. As you know, Kendra and Joseph have a case going on in the situations that's been going on. We're gonna go down and I wanted to share. Shout out to hold on, let me get this information correct. Oh, wait, hold on, y'all. Hit the wrong button. I want to shout
Breaking
out
news.
to Hidden True Crime. They are talking about it and they're saying that Kendra family spoke out about the situation.
In the ongoing Joseph Duggar case, the Caldwell family has broken their silence in a public statement that speaks volumes in what it says and in what it doesn't say. And a family friend of the Caldwells posted a very significant statement on Instagram that, in my opinion, all but confirms our reporting thus far on this tragic case involving an innocent 9-year-old girl at its center, a very brave 9-year-old girl. It's just been under a month since Christian reality TV star Joseph Duggar was arrested, accused of molesting that 9-year-old girl during a 2020 vacation in Panama City Beach, Florida. Charging docs say he confessed. Then, in a shocking turn, his wife, Kendra Caldwell Duggar, was also charged with 4 counts of child endangerment and 4 counts of false imprisonment. Joseph, too, is now facing those same charges in Arkansas. And in the weeks since those initial charges have come down, we've been here breaking down the avalanche of new details that have been tumbling down a hill faster than any Duggar can shovel their way out. We have jail emails, we have jail calls, and we have family statements that both confirm and contradict the behind-the-scenes activity. And we have also broken down the seemingly growing tensions between two families. And this is vital to understand. The Caldwells are Kendra's family of origin. Her father is Pastor Paul. Her mom is Christina. And then there is Kendra's husband, Joseph Duggar's more famous family from the TLC hit series 19 Kids and Counting. The background tension has been dripping into the public sphere drop by drop, but this week they've turned the faucet on. The Caldwells have spoken, as have their friend who is standing by their side, dropping truth bombs. And in today's episode, we are going over everything, breaking down what the statements say, the details, and what this means, and how this could change everything we know about this case. I'm Lauren Matthias, and this is Hidden True Crime.
All right, let me fast forward, you guys.
Due to locks located on the outside of doors, meaning children could be locked inside bedrooms.
What?
Joseph was transferred from his hometown of Arkansas to Florida.
Wait a minute. So children do be locked in bedrooms? What?
On March 31st, Joseph pleaded not guilty. And then moments later, with the help of Daddy Jim Bob Duggar, posted a $600,000 bond using a get out of jail but not for free card, and was spotted in the airport flying back to Arkansas with Daddy Jim Bob. So for now, Joseph is prohibited from contacting the alleged victim and from having any unsupervised contact with minors. That includes his own children. In jail calls that Hidden True Crime obtained via our FOIA request, we heard Kendra mention not having her kids for the next month. We heard her say that she thinks they will be resilient little things. Yes, she refers to them as resilient little things.
And then the kids, obviously, praying a lot for them too. Yeah, please do.
Hmm.
They need our prayers,
Yes.
and they are well, I'm sure they're going to be very resilient little things.
That's right.
And we also heard her talk plenty about the Duggar family, her in-laws rallying around her and supporting her. Now, this part is important. Stick with me. The Duggars supporting Kendra, because from the surface, it certainly seems that's the right thing to do, as she is experiencing a major plot twist in her life and marriage, clearly. But in our last update, we dove into the behind-the-scenes tension that, again, seems to be growing between Kendra Duggar and her own family, her own parents, the Caldwells. And by now, most of us have heard the jail calls where Kendra speaks about ensuring that her parents move out of the home and that she and Joseph own this home and her parents and siblings are living in. And she also mentions that it's the Duggar family that is going to make sure they follow through. Take a listen to this.
My family says they're moving out in a month, and everybody is going to hold them to it.
Okay.
Got a lot
Better than I was, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, they're like, like, anyways. So they're
And then we'll
holding
have to
to
push
it.
the utilities back after they move out.
So for weeks now, there's been speculation and, quite honestly, a lot of circumstantial evidence that has pointed to Paul Caldwell, that's Kendra's own dad, Pastor Paul, being the one who turned Joseph into police, and that the victim was related to Kendra Duggar and was possibly even one of her younger siblings who would have been 9 years old in 2020 while vacationing with Joseph in Florida. I mean, lining up with facts in the charging docks, right? And while we have made it clear that there has been no confirmation of this, and we have made an effort to be cautious with our reporting here at Hidden True Crime, we have touched on this possibility due to the growing tension between the two families and also just to simply understand the evidence. And I speculated that maybe it wasn't that the Duggars were just rallying around their daughter-in-law, Kendra, because that would make sense, supporting her, right? But that maybe it was more. That maybe this was about controlling Kendra, the Duggars controlling Kendra. Maybe it was about isolating Kendra from her family, isolating Kendra from a sibling that might be Joseph's victim, a victim who made the brave choice to come forward. And look, take a listen yourself to this, because all of this matters when it comes down to understanding what the Caldwell family friend spoke about in a very striking Instagram post. This is from our April 8th episode on the Duggar case. Take a listen. In addition to everything we've already talked about.
Now, listen, she's been breaking it down too. She's not the only person that's been on this. We're going to get into without a crystal ball in a minute.
There have been other hints that this situation is related to the Caldwells as well. One being that they've seemingly removed group photos with Kendra from their Facebook page. Yeah.
What?
Remove photos. Take a look. Family photos.
What?
Public family photos on Facebook. And no Kendra. They have a total of 9 children. There are 8 kids in the photo.
So they have a big family themselves. They're like the Duggars look like, because you see the girls with the dresses. So, and they don't have their haircut. So they go by the same thing. But Kendra is not in this photo. Now, remember we heard that they had issues with the home, that there was a tiff about the issues about the house, that they sold it to Kendra and Josh. They got some issues. The parents took it back. Now they're giving it back. I don't, child.
When there should be 9. Kendra's missing. There was also something else in the jail calls that makes it seem like Kendra wants to pull away not only from her parents, but from her siblings as well.
Yep.
In one call, Kendra tells Joseph that they no longer want Timmy working as a cleaner for their Airbnb listing. And people online are speculating that this Timmy is referring possibly to Kendra's teen brother, Timothy. So, okay. let's zoom out now and let's look at everything together. That is where things stand. Joseph is out on bond facing serious felony
Oh, he
charges.
got out?
Kendra is dealing with her own charges, separated from her children, and possibly changing her legal
This had to
strategy.
be before they picked him back up. Remember they said it took him to, so is he, let me see if he out. Hold on.
Their kids are out of their custody. They don't have their children.
So who got the
Their
kids?
home is being turned into a rental. Assets
What?
are being sold off. The Caldwells are trying to secure housing and legal help while being pushed out of their home. And in the middle of all of this, there are recorded jail calls where these decisions are being discussed in a way that,
Okay, y'all, he is out on bail. He's been out on bail since the 31st.
at times feels surprisingly casual. And it seems that while we were all originally worried that Kendra might not recognize her options and that she knew that she could leave Joseph Duggar
I don't think
if she chose, now it seems that not only is Kendra standing by her man. That's what we were worried about. But now it's more. She is seeming to be turning her back on the family who raised her and likely distancing herself from the victim herself. And what is the Duggar family narrative in all of this? I ask because clearly Kendra is spending all of her time with the Duggars.
Sure is.
We learned that on the jail calls too. The Duggars are rallying around Kendra. They're housing Kendra, supporting Kendra, feeding Kendra, and taking care of Kendra. Might I dare add, controlling Kendra. Yeah, controlling Kendra. I don't say that lightly. So, okay. Again, that episode was recorded April 8th. It's Hidden True Crime, questioning the Duggars' motives when it comes to Kendra. Is it about a rallying around Kendra? Is that it? Or is this
I said that. I said I really truly believe she's going to be another Amy in this situation. Not Amy, I'm sorry. Josh's wife in this situation. I don't know why they both got A's. Annie, I think her name is. Anyway, she gonna be another her. Y'all see that Josh's wife she's standing right there. She's like, oh well, that's still my husband. Oh well, that's my husband. And it's like she's waiting on him to come home. So if this man, whatever his sentence will be, she's going to stand right there. I don't think she's going to pull away anytime soon, y'all. I don't know if she's waiting to see what they're going to say, what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't think she's going to pull any further away from him. Like, that's it. She's standing beside him.
about control? And just 5 days later, on April 13th, 5 days, one statement hit Instagram like a ton of bricks.
Mm-mm.
There are definitely times in life where you realize you could Kendra's little sister all together. And alongside that photo, Amy, Christians, we are called to be the hands and feet of Jesus. I was also appalled by the lack of Christian charity that is being shown to this precious family that is in crisis. Not only were they put in the awful situation of turning their son-in-law into the police because he wasn't man enough to take accountability himself, but he's also kicking them out of their house and giving them 30 days to get out. The power and the water was turned off with 8 other kids living in the house.
Wait a minute. So he got out on bail and he said they got to get out? He turned out the power in the... Wow.
While I was there, DHS was called on them for abuse. Wonder who called. I will tell you that not one Duggar is reaching out to the Caldwells. Not one Duggar is helping them move or asking how they can help. The Caldwells share 4 grandkids with Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. This is not the time to be throwing stones, but it's the time to rally around and support the victim and their family. And Joe Duggar is 100% not the victim. Pray for their daughter, Kendra, to choose her kids and leave the alleged pedophile and have a relationship with her family. I am 1 year into this same scenario almost, and all I knew to do was love on Christina and her precious family. I don't deserve any praise. It's what all Christians are called to do. See a need and meet it. And again, the only emotion I have right now for the Duggars is disgust and disbelief. Do the right thing and help your extended family from the abuse and trauma your son has caused. Your piddly statement wasn't enough. Where are the actions? Even if you don't like someone, the truth is you raised a son and he touched a prepubescent child, and you are choosing to poison the daughter against her family. Encourage Kendra to divorce Joe. Focus on her kids and give her half the money, real estate, etc. Don't make her dependent on you, Jim Bob, like she's not a grown woman. Don't make her another Anna. Her family is there waiting with open arms. I thought I wouldn't post. Hopefully this was tampered down enough. If I posted what I really want, I'd probably be arrested, end quote. Amy's statement is significant. She claims it was indeed Paul Caldwell that turned Joseph in.
Okay.
In a 2025 post, who at one point turned their son-in-law, Carver, into police for being a child predator. We should note that Carver is friends.
Now listen, I'm going to fast forward through. I don't want to play it.
With many of the Duggars' sons. But since turning Carver in, Amy has tried hard to get her 21-year-old daughter, Haley, to leave her son-in-law, Carver. But Haley, she's refused to do this thus far. In a 2025 post, Amy wrote this about Haley, quote, I miss her so much. Part of my heart is missing. I want to give everyone an update on the grand jury's decision. Carver was arrested again on Saturday. He was indicted with a $150,000 bond. Haley bailed him out with $15,000 in a couple of hours. The grand jury in Alabama was presented the evidence and had to decide to dismiss the case or bring it to trial. They ruled to indict him on 2 counts of a Class B felony for sexual abuse of a minor under 12 years old. Each charge has a minimum of 2 years and a maximum of 20 years in prison. He will have to stand trial for his crimes, and if found guilty, he will be classified as a offender and will go to prison. Eric and I confronted him in April, and we heard from his own mouth that he did indeed commit sexual abuse on a minor or minors while he was an adult. He tried to downplay it, but enough was admitted that it made me want to do very bad things to him. I don't know where Haley's head is at, but she is choosing to stay while knowing her husband touched a children.
That is crazy. That is crazy. That's crazy. I'm sorry. Ain't that much religion in the world would make me stay with the man that touched on a child. I would be concerned if he would touch on our kids. And think about it, they're having babies with these men. Like they're giving them, oh my God, I don't even want to talk about it like that, but it seemed like they're giving no. I wouldn't dare. I would do whatever I can to keep. No, I'm sorry. There's no way you should be sitting here still married to these men like this. Like, there is no way.
I don't know where in my parenting I failed, but I thought this lesson was common sense. You don't stay married to a pedophile. You don't have kids with him, and you don't give up your whole family and make us the enemy because we turned in a criminal and didn't conceal a crime. In our brokenness, we will point others to the cross. There is wholeness and healing at Jesus' feet. The only way we are making it through this calculated attack is the Lord. If you do not have a personal relationship with Christ, please reach out. Pray he gets his bond revoked and sits in jail until the trial. If not, we are looking at a trial 2 years from now. End quote. Wow. So that's Amy Paul and her situation.
Wow.
And her daughter, Haley, herself also posted a statement when her husband Carver was arrested. And I'm going to read that because, whoa, I think this might give us a little insight. Know that Jesus has a beautiful purpose and plan for our life, and he's given me the most unwavering trust and peace.
I want to say this. I feel like they still have a cult mindset. A cult mindset. It's very cultish mindset.
I'm so incredibly torn and hurt by the people who I thought loved me the most. But in the end, some people just need to do what's best for themselves. And if y'all truly thought that's what was best, I hope you're seeing now how traumatically your actions have affected our life that we've worked so hard to build. Carver was up all night sitting with his gun at the door because our location got leaked and people were harassing us all night. Nobody deserves this, especially not him. These
What?
kind of things can happen in countless families' lives who were raised very sheltered and strict. That doesn't make it okay, but it is understandable.
He wrote this. She didn't write that. He wrote that. I'm telling you.
I know so many of y'all whose husbands or sons or uncles are hiding behind their sin even years
He
and
wrote-
years down the road.
He wrote
I am
that.
proud of my husband. I'm proud to be his wife.
He
And I
wrote
always
that.
will be. He has already made amends with the
She didn't write that. He wrote that. I'm telling y'all. She didn't write that. He wrote that. I'm telling y'all. That girl ain't sit there and type no. Now, without him knowing that if he's already paranoid and sitting out there with the gun, he told her she better write that and it better sound good. I'm telling you, if she wrote it, he told her to. I'm telling y'all, I promise you, he didn't write that. Let me tell you, two things for certain and two things for sure. Either he told her to write that or he wrote that. Do you understand? He told her to write that or he wrote that. Let me tell you something. That's nah, baby, that's too descriptional.
victim and Jesus. So this is
Mhm.
old news that my parents chose to exploit. For what reason, I have
Oh,
no
you-
idea, but I can't change or revert their
Mm.
actions. I can only
Mm.
take it day by day.
Hmm.
I don't hate anyone. I don't think I've hated a single person in my life, but I don't agree with the actions that they have decided to take for their own personal gain with no care or thought as to how it will affect Carver and I. This isn't a matter I take or speak about lightly. This is my life, my best friend and soulmate. We've only been
What?
married a year, but it's been
You have lost your mind, girl. I don't give a goddamn how discreet you can make it look. The way I would have divorced so goddamn quick, a year, honey. Who is gonna sit here and judge you for you being married to that man for a year? Because and you divorcing him because of his actions that you cannot trust. What is going on? A year, girl, I would have took that year and he could shove it, and I would have ate that cake by myself. Do you understand me? I would not. Who? I go through the healing and sleep at night. Then to sit here and wondering what he gonna do, honey. Please. Or what is he doing? Is he really doing this? Oh my God, he can't do this. Oh my God, is he really doing that? Are you, girl? You know you is beating yourself up worse. Oh, no, ma'am. No,
the
ma'am.
most blissful and joy-filled year of our lives. Maybe Jesus gave us such a wonderful gift in each other
Jesus
because
got
he
nothing
knew
to
we'd
do with
have to
it.
face this.
He don't
I have
got
no
nothing
idea
to
what
do
will
with it.
happen, but I will always wait. I trust that Jesus has a plan far better than we could ever imagine. He always has. I know he won't fail me now. End quote. This statement is so,
Horrendous.
I
Hey,
mean, I can't even begin
a hot darn
to
mess.
digest it. But besides it traumatizing me a little bit, reading Haley's
I'll say it for you, a hot darn mess. There you go.
words, it's also enlightening. Okay, so let's talk about that part. Well, Kendra, again, and Anna Duggar have never made public statements.
No.
They have so far stood by their husbands who have been charged with crimes against children. And it certainly gives, again, to me at least, some insight into the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
For one, referring to alleged abuse of a child as a sin, or how she puts it, she puts victim in quotation marks. Yes, she did that. I said victim in quotes, but it's because Haley did it. She put victim in quotes in this statement. She talks about it as, in the past. She talks about it being understandable because of just living a sheltered life.
He brainwashed her.
All three of them, Haley, Kendra, and Anna, they grew up in similar environments with fundamentalist Christianity. So I think it is fair to wonder if Haley's statement shows us what some of Kendra's inner thoughts might be regarding her marriage to Joseph. But I don't know. I don't know what is in Kendra's mind. But from the outside, looking in, not only are the Pauls and the Caldwells similar in the sense of having an alleged child predator as the son-in-law, but also seemingly in the relationship with their daughters becoming volatile and possibly estranged from their parents after charges came down. While at the Caldwell's home, Amy also posted a photo that showed bins and an open trailer signaling the upcoming move with the caption,
"Hey,
so much work getting accomplished, love helping my friends," end quote. And then today, let's get to today. It's Wednesday morning, April 14th. At the time of this recording, we're talking about this morning, Wednesday morning. The Caldwell shared their own statement and broke their silence alongside a family photograph that did not include Kendra. Very telling. And it reads, quote, "Our family."
Now, when I first heard that about this house situation and recordings, I knew something was finna happen because he was already talking about getting out and making money. That was weird because we were trying to figure out what that situation was, and then they were talking about the house indiscreet because they knew this was going to get leaked out. So now we're getting understanding that there are still some issues between the Caldwells and the Duggars. Excuse me, but half of the Duggars don't even speak to each other.
Family is both troubled and heartbroken over the alleged actions committed by our son-in-law. We are devastated for the young girl, a child who was courageous in every way to share her truth. We stand by her both in support and prayer and forever will. Our love for this child remains at the forefront of our family's priorities and minds. We are proud of her for being strong enough to share her story while also retaining her own identity and joy. I love that, her own identity and joy. We pray that all victims of crimes can be as courageous as this young girl is. They should be able to share their story, to trust in the judicial process, and to do so without fear of retaliation. You are not alone. At the same time, we also recognize how traumatic this incident has been for our grandchildren as well, and continue to pray for their strength. Our love for them and our daughter Kendra remains. We believe in a God who is just and loving, one who loves all of his children, especially the vulnerable and innocent. The only way to freedom is to shine light in the darkness. And in this time, part of the light in our lives has come through the outpouring of love and prayer from people near and far. Thank you who have given in all the ways through prayer, finances, time, energy, and words of encouragement. We love you all. At this time, we have no further comment and request privacy, end quote. Wow. So while the Caldwells did not confirm whether or not the victim is their child, they spoke about their deep love for the child, that she is the family's priority, and how proud they are of her. And they spoke of her bravery. You also heard them talk about how traumatizing this is on their grandchildren, saying enough to realize they are referring to Kendra and Joseph's children. But now, let's go back to something Amy Paul said on her Instagram post, something I said that I would circle back to. She referred to Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar's piddly statement, referencing the arrest of their son, Joseph Duggar. So let's talk about that piddly statement, which, by the way, I am loving the word piddly. I'm trying to say it a lot. It's a good one. I'm bringing it back thanks to Amy Paul. So that piddly statement, shared by Michelle and Jim Bob, stated that they are praying for the victim. Praying for the victim. Jim Bob and Michelle are allegedly praying for the victim while their son Joseph Duggar pleads not guilty Jim Bob and Michelle are allegedly praying for the victim.
I don't see how he pleaded not guilty, and we watched him stand in front of the court and say these words, yes, I did it, but I plead not. Now, that is crazy work. That is crazy work. How do you plead not guilty and then you go in the other token of, oh, but, I'm not guilty of it. I mean, I did it, but I'm not guilty. Like, what? Excuse me? You said that you did it, but you not guilty. Why you know what? There's something right here.
While paying Joseph's bail. Jim Bob and Michelle are allegedly praying for the victim while, according to Amy Paul, turning off the victim's power and water and quite possibly leaving her homeless. Remember, Kendra told Joseph on the jailhouse call it was the Duggars holding the Caldwell's feet to the fire to make sure they move. But along with Jim Bob and Michelle's piddly statement, Hidden True Crime obtained an email Jim Bob wrote to his son Joseph Duggar before Daddy's bail money showed up, and it told Joseph to make lemonade out of lemons. Yeah, it did.
Probably the money that some of them kids didn't get paid for, that he knew them children was going to have problems, allegedly, and just say, yeah, it's going to be another one. I just save it for the bond money because I know something wrong with my kids, but we going to let God handle it. We not going to do. God put people in place to help people medically because he knew something was going to be wrong with people. God put people in place to mentally help people. So it got to be a deeper issue. And what they don't want to hear is they sat here and isolated their children from the time they were born to the time they hit 18. They kept them on something away from kids, sheltered them so coordinated. They were coordinating, shelter them in a coordinating style of how it should go. And they don't want to hear they were in a cult. They don't want to hear that, oh, they're part of a cult. They don't want nobody to tell them this, you got to, they ain't want to hear that. That's what they thought it was. That's what they have them on. That's what they're going to raise them on. And that's how it's going to be. And oh, well, we don't care what nobody got to say. We're still going to have a cult-like mind behavior. This is insane.
Say that. And also it said this, you have made some terrible decisions, but you're probably going to face a major consequences for several years to come, end quote. So, and now, well, again, let's go back to our last episode recorded on April 8th. Again, take a listen. Many have speculated on a recent email that we read on our previous episode, an email between Jim Bob Duggar to Joseph Duggar while he was in jail before he was bailed out. And we've discussed how that email from his dad mentions Joseph's terrible decisions. Terrible. And the question is, what exactly does Jim Bob mean by terrible decision? Is he talking about the crime itself? Or is he talking about Joseph confessing and getting caught? Because some of you had a very strong reaction to that one line about terrible decisions. One of you wrote in comments on our episode, when Jim Bob tells Joseph that he had made terrible decisions, I don't think he was talking about the horrible and disgusting things he had done to the little girl. I believe that he was talking about Joseph having confessed to the molestation twice and law enforcement being able to hear his confession the second time around. Now they won't be able to cover up for him and he will have to face the consequences. End quote. And then another one of you wrote this comment on our episode. Is Jim Bob considering the bad decision to get the crime itself or simply the admission on the phone? I'm not sure what the bad decision is that he is referencing. And here's another comment from one of you, our listeners. Quote, do you think that maybe when they say they are praying for the victim, they mean Joseph and not the actual victim. The statement is super vague, and I feel like they could see him as a victim of persecution. And thank you for your comments. I do read your comments. The more that I have looked into this case, and let's talk about the recent things here. The bail being bonded out right away. The not guilty plea that Joseph made. The way Kendra has been pulled in close, very close to the Duggar family. The tension and feud with the Caldwell family. And it being Pastor Paul Caldwell who likely, allegedly reported the abuse to law enforcement. It starts to raise a bigger question for me about the Duggar narrative.
Yeah.
Is this about accountability, or is this about control, loyalty, and choosing sides? Because what we may be watching unfold here isn't just a criminal case. It's a family fracture. And maybe even a quiet punishment of the people who did speak up, and a desire to punish the Caldwells and put distance between Kendra and her parents after Pastor Paul Caldwell did what a good father should do: tell police and get Josie to confess. And so now that the Caldwells have spoken out, and now that Amy Paul has spoken out, what do you think Jim Bob Duggar meant? What are your thoughts now? And have they changed or evolved since these statements have come out? For me, my own thoughts have changed. I was a little more, I don't know. What does everyone else think?
Right.
The more that comes out for me, to me, this changes
And that ain't
everything,
all.
I think, about this case, or solidifies a lot of my speculation. As we've also reported, the Caldwells launched a GoFundMe that they claimed was for moving expenses and legal expenses. It read that their family was facing a difficult and urgent situation. They asked or requested help with legal fees and moving fees to secure safe housing. They explained how incredibly stressful everything had been and that they were trying to protect themselves and move forward. They explained that the funds would go for legal representation and also helping to find a safe place to live. They said it was for their well-being and peace of mind. They're grateful for donations, and they were grateful for prayers. But that GoFundMe was taken down for a time, and then it reappeared just suddenly with no mention of legal fees, just housing needs. But it again focused on the Caldwell family facing a very difficult and urgent situation. That GoFundMe has now raised over $30,000, and we will have a link to this fund in the description of this episode, as well as in pinned comments. Joseph is due back in court on May 18th, so not for another month. But clearly, the avalanche keeps rolling, and Hidden True Crime will be here every step of the way. So thank you for supporting our channel, and thank you for supporting our work here at Hidden True Crime. Truly, it means so much. Thank you for subscribing. It helps so much. But of course, the most vital thing to remember is this is about a victim who is a child victim. And just as the Caldwell said in their statement today on Wednesday, she remains their biggest priority. And yes, they are correct. She is the priority. And despite that, as the avalanche within the Duggar vortex continues tumbling, I'm continually left asking, who is actually being protected?
Right.
Is she, the victim, the one being protected? Or is it Joseph? Because these statements from the Caldwells, speaking up and speaking out, and from their family friend, Amy Paul, it's hard not to question everything on the other side. And it makes me wonder what will surface next. Whatever it is, we will be watching. Stay with us.
All right, you guys. That was good. Child, oh Lord, this is gonna be a long fight. Okay, so honey, let's get into Without a Crystal Ball. So she posted the same thing. Now, y'all know she go ham. So then she posted this. Thank you to my, amazing followers. There's a concrete effort happening right now to get the Caldwells into a safe housing. No victim of child SA should be living in a home owned by the predator. The predator's family, the Duggars, have mass reported the GoFundMe of the Caldwells attempted to block helping the victim and her family. My sources are working overtime to find a safe home for the Caldwells to stay at until they find their own place. Once I know more about the fundraising, I'll keep you posted. But the Duggars and all of them, every single one is standing by Joseph and Kendra while attempting to destroy the life of the victim and her family for reporting Joseph to the police. Now, there are Ginger is not standing by. His twin brother has made a statement that they are not standing by. So they haven't said I haven't seen anything that the other ones have said, but Ginger did say on her podcast that she praying for the victim. Her heart is with the victim, and then they ain't got darn sure with her brother. And then someone said the Caldwells are just as bad as the Duggars. They are all terrible people. The Caldwells have tons of kids without ever having jobs and lived out Joe and Kendra for years. The only reason this was reported because they were getting evicted. Why do you think Joe set them up in the house for free right after the incident? Why do you think Paul went to the police after being told to get out? The Caldwells do not care at all about their child who was abused. It's all about money. Duggar Hugger alert. This is 100% narrative JB is spewing right now. The Duggar Huggers will pretend they don't like the Duggars in order to feed a negative slander about the victim's father. Don't get distracted about it. Now, this is all alleged. I don't know if that little girl is the victim or not. I don't know, okay? We don't know. But we just gonna act. We gonna say allegedly. Don't get distracted by the comments that the Paul Caldwell never worked. He too lazy. He mooched off the Duggars. First of all, that man is a pastor. Okay, Paul is a mechanic and a pastor. He had a thriving career before the Duggars demolished it. Paul didn't know his daughter was assaulted and the home was not hush money. The home was paid for by Paul after Jim blew up his life and took his salary and home from him. Paul was kicked out of a rental after a decade of living there. He had a financial issue until his falling out with Jim Bob. Paul didn't go to police because Joseph evicted him. None of that is true. This is a disgusting answer of the Duggar family. I am not fundamentalist, but I have contacts in deep in this cult in world. And why? Because I allow people the space to share there and give them our anonymity. But y'all know I can't talk. I'm tired. The right and allow them to whistleblow about the fear of the retaliation. If it's a person who knows Paul flat out told me we would never keep a secret about his daughter being abused, nor would he accept hush money. He also believes the set will support Kendra divorcing Joseph. I know he would. And then here is this from Paul Crystal Caldwell. They Venmo money and I sent them. She said she praying for them. She sent it to them to help. Don't be surprised if Wayfair Studios and the parties are sue Blake Lively. Okay, she talking about Blake Lively. We understand that. Let's go into the Duggars. Happening now, confirmed from verified source when the Duggar released statements claiming they are praying for the victim. They are speaking about praying for Joseph and Kendra. Joseph and Kendra have noticed the whole family, have convinced the whole family that her parents have victimized them by essay to the police. They also told Kendra's family that they need to be out of the home or they would be evicted. Joseph and Jim Bob expected Paul and Christina to handle things privately and cover up the crime. Now, we did hear that they did get evicted, okay? This is some crazy work. That is not the children of the Lord. I don't know what kind of Christianity bullcrap this is, but for y'all to sit here and kick them people out their home and y'all ain't even in the home is crazy work. But y'all should have went to court because really, I believe in the state of Arkansas or anywhere that you cannot kick nobody out within 30 days. You have to go pay for that money and get an eviction. Okay. The evidence found by police related to Kendra and Joe kids was more than a kick on the wrong door. The house was completely unsanitary and is far worse than described by the Duggar family. Also, word from the inside of Kendra could get her life together and left Joseph CPS could possibly put together a reunification plan. Oh, if she don't, but the sticker CPS required that she divorce Joseph to prove she could put their their best interest first. My source don't know that Kendra is willing to leave Joseph in the Duggars if had already promised her help and lavish her with promises to. Oh, wow. So they trying to keep Kendra around. Now it was another thing that I saw. They were talking about the kids in school. They said that they do not have Jason Duggar absolutely does not have Joseph and Kendra kids. He put out the public statement trying to convince DCF that he could be unbiased and protective. Also, they're saying that they never educate their children and they're not homeschooled. They should be in the end of kindergarten. That them not getting the education was neglect. They say Joseph is a victim already known, that it's not a secret. She posted all the stuff that they saying. She said there are at least 3 other Duggars who have been accused of SA through them sources, and they said her sources confirmed that the Duggars sent their sons to Alert Academy, where they caught with porno or assaulting someone. They said that Joseph alleged more than one victim, and multiple sources have alleged that Joseph confessed to the teenager as a teenager. Child. So, honey, Joseph has done this before. They say that there have been support that Joseph done this years ago. Honey. This is a mess. Like, this is a mess. This is a mess. This is a lot. I would play some of her stuff, but I know she got some of these videos. Is this real? Okay. We might watch some videos after I read this stuff. There was some things that I saw too that I want to touch on as well. She said this is the only Duggars that she would trust is Amy, Indiana. She also said that Kathy and Jed Duggar detained their children. Jed Duggar and his Stepford wife Kathy have been caught detaining their kids. Jed is Jim Bob, one son, super vindictive and cruel, and it's no surprise that Jed would resort to locking his kids in the room at night. Multiple videos for Kathy Instagram showed the locks on the doors facing the interior airway. Nearly all the Duggar kids used detention as a means for punishment. Joanne and Austin also love this method. Joy and Austin had a visit from the DSF last week. Jed is a jerk, and I have no doubt his kids. Now, this is all alleged, y'all. Jim Bob and all of his sons shared that she showed the Bible verse. And then she said, little birdie told her best friend, child, y'all can read that. I'm not going to read. This is a mess, y'all. They said they're waiting on a comment from Austin, honey. This is a mess. All these people are coming out. Oh, my God. Child. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Jim Boss has sent his son out into the ministry. One insider reported Jackson Duggar offering cure to people of their addictions. Child. So what? Let me play this. Oh, she ain't playing. I thought I was gonna play. James Duggar might be getting married soon, but he won't be sharing his first kiss with his new bride, who was battered to Jim Bob from Dewan Swan. Oh, she know all the tea. We finna go to her videos. It was one that was very telling to me. She also stated that the Duggars, what is this? Child, this is a mess. This is a mess. This is one of the family members, child, showing his little thing. Child, showing his little thing out there. That is not of God, honey.
Given to Kendra and Joe. That's where this list came from. That's how I got it. One of their friends shared it with me. And in it, and in one of the parts, it says, let your husband help you out of the wedding dress for his first look. Bring one regular pillow just for propping up the wife's hips during intercourse. Props hips with pillow and let legs hang down. This is like a step-by-step guide. Have the husband stretch with one finger at a time the first night until you get to 2 or tight 3. The book says it should take 30 to 45 minutes, but it could take several hours of stopping and starting. Don't be afraid to try real intimacy, even if stretching really hurts, even with the same diameter of fingers. If done slowly and
Excuse me? His thing is to try to help. Now, remember, they talked about that they've been wanting the kids to be pregnant by the time that they come back from a honeymoon. And I think that they were trying to make her pregnant by the time they come back. Because remember, Ginger husband said, is she pregnant yet? Did you get her pregnant? That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Did you get her pregnant? So the gist of everything was to get them pregnant. Yes, by the time they come from the honeymoon. They wanted them pregnant already to start having multiple children. And remember how Ginger husband was like, excuse me? He was like, wait a minute. Wow.
in the correct position, the man's unit will not hurt as much as the fingers. After about a month, it should get to where the wife won't need a pillow under her hips. Afterwards, it says communicate to each other what feels good or hurts as it's happening. Go to the bathroom before and always after, especially the female. It can help prevent a honeymoon UTI. Bring pads or panty liners, even if.
How do you stop? If this is her first time, how do you know she's going to have that? How many times are you telling? So it sounds like to me the goal is to keep having intercourse until they feel like they're tired or there's a baby made. What kind of shit is this? Oh my
not
God,
on period
my lantern.
or wetness. Pack lots of underwear, enough for 2 to 3 a day. Pack perfume and cologne. Pack enemas for constipation. Pack breath sprays. Take prenatal vitamins. Peroxide, which is stain remover. Vagisil for discomfort. Perfumed shower soap, candles and matches. 4 full-size bath towels. If you stay at a hotel the first few nights, bring at least 1 towel of
4 times a day is exhausting. My God, forcing a child. Right. It doesn't matter. They don't have feelings. And Amy said that when she saw one of her cousins were crying and she was crying and trying to hold her emotions because they trained them not to have emotions 4 times. 4 times a day is a lot. 4 times. you're trying to force. Yeah, it get sore. My God, today. And then he still want to do something while she pregnant. Get off her now. Don't touch her. Don't touch her no more. Just get off. I have to say, get off me. I don't give a damn. Get off me. Get off. No, ain't no ham, no turkey. I'm sorry. Get off her. Like, it is not that serious. Seriously. It's going to happen when it's supposed to happen. Forcing a child into the womb. Hey, keep doing it. That's why the mama was pregnant every 6 months. This is ridiculous. The cootie cat never got a rest. Oh, my Lord.
Of your own so you don't get oil and fluid on their towels. Bounty towels work well. Perry bottles for...
What kind of Diddy party is this? I'm going to say this, and I'm going to keep it a buck. If Diddy is looking like a not of an angel, as a deviant, an actual deviant, they need to be looked at like that too. And it should be no spare of that. No spare of that. What's up with the baby oil? What is up with the Johnson & Johnsons? All these y'all need to start checking. Hold on. Now, wait a minute now. We don't went through a baby oil fiasco last year. Who else got a clear a baby oil to be given out if a loop? Who else? Just go ahead and say it now. We tired. Johnson & Johnson is rich at this point. That's probably, you know what? Let me hush.
Freshening up a bit when in a hurry and no shower or bath is possible. Feminine deodorant spray is nice to use. Pregnancy tests. They want you to bring pregnancy tests on your honeymoon. Books.
What?
Dr. Ed Wheat's book, Intended for Pleasure, Love, Life, and for Every Married Couple. I suggest getting lidocaine, numbing agents to apply to this area. Yes, lidocaine. They also recommend going to their doctor, whoever this weirdo is, and getting a script for antibiotics in the event that they get an infection while they're there. And it's so, they say to do this, they tell them that they should be having intimacy 5 to 6 times a day on their honeymoon. This list was specifically given to Kendra and Joe. That's where this list came from. That's how I got it. One of their friends shared it with me. And in one of the parts, it says, let your husband help you out of the wedding dress for his first
ridiculous.
look.
This
Bring
is
one
crazy. Wow. Are they friends or something? She says people threatening her. If they don't go have plenty of seats. Oh my God. Now, it was one part where they said that them having black friends was a fake thing because they really don't like black people. I mean, child, when we ever seen it with black people anyway? Honey, we ain't never seen them folks with no black people. Come on now. We ain't never seen it. I think I'm gonna play which one? I think I'm gonna play this one first.
And it's always a challenge to get everybody up
and find wives for the sons. And then the reality is that his sons, almost all of them had kissed girls by the time they married their wives.
Wow.
On the show, they were made to lie to say that the first kiss was at the altar.
Right.
It just wasn't true.
What?
Even Joanna's first kiss.
Now, shout out to Without a Crystal Ball for this, and for people coming to her and speaking to her about this. So basically, that was a lie that they never had a first kiss. Yeah, they don't like anyone. They don't. And the reason why they don't like anyone is because of the fact is that they don't want everybody in their business, because this is what they didn't want out. Because remember, Ginger said that her notebook got stolen when they used to have people to the goddamn house and let people come to the house like it's a damn museum. Yeah, like it's a museum, like it's a tourist attraction. or something. So that's crazy. And then, she was saying they would have people come to the house, tour the house, like tour it because they were fans. Like, she was just like, I mean, stuff got took, whatever. And that's how people start threatening them. But and hey, this is crazy. So they lied about the first kiss. So they didn't have a first kiss at the altar. Let's continue.
Wasn't at the altar. But the Duggars had
I
an
have-
image
I was
to
like,
maintain, and they were pushing the purity culture, right? And they had a habit, the boys, that is, of going for girls that tended to be very naive, but also they tended to go for girls who were enthusiastically fans of them. You see, some of the girls that married the Duggars were in competition with them, with other girls, to be noticed and to be seen.
I believe that because didn't Josh have a girlfriend at one point before Anna? Or am I tripping? Because I really believe he had a girlfriend before that, or he was entertaining the thought of having a girlfriend. Maybe I'm tripping and they didn't know. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm thinking wrong, but I think they did. But anywho, let's continue.
Some of them felt like they were winning the lottery that a Duggar son would even consider them. Some of the girls were such fans, they were willing to turn blind eyes to things, and others were very naive. They didn't know what eyes, they didn't even know that they were blind to begin with. And that's Kendra Duggar. Because a friend of hers spoke to me today, and this is someone who's not in the fold anymore, but knows the Duggars very well and had experience with many of the Duggar sons that I would qualify as just deeply disturbing. And this friend highlighted to me a pattern of behavior that not just Josh exhibits, but all of the sons exhibit, every single one, where they don't respect boundaries. They don't understand how to behave with women, and they think and they are entitled to anything.
I believe
and
that.
Some of these sons are more manipulative than
Yeah,
others.
Your girlfriend.
Joseph Duggar is turning out to be one of the more manipulative ones. But today I learned about Justin, who might also be as manipulative, and James, who might just be a narcissist. I'm starting to think there are many male narcissists in the Duggar fold.
I'm starting to think that too.
When Joseph picked Kendra, she was a girl that definitely was, I guess, enamored with the Duggars, but she was very naive. She lived in a home that doesn't really watch TV. They don't really do social media. She grew up very sheltered.
I told you they don't have no experience to the outside world. Let's be clear. Okay. Okay. I'm a millennial. Okay. I am the generation that got the first from going outside, jumping onto to computers, the internet, right? And when the internet came about, I got to learn to search for homework, learn to search for stuff that needed to be searched, things like that. I got to be outside, play in the dirt, okay? I got to watch television. Okay, Pepper Ann, that was the best time of a childhood. There were things, I mean, TV was different then. The sitcoms, you had scenarios like Family Matters, Martin. They talked about things that was really going on in the world. Okay, let's just make that clear. So when you sit here and take that away from them, they don't know like what's going on. They don't know events, current events. You don't know. That's crazy. You don't know unless somebody tell you about this and that. You don't know the research on your own, the research thing to look at least they could have watched National Geographic, stuff like that. They didn't do none of that. None of that. And when I heard, oh, we don't have a TV, we don't have a radio, I play certain things for the kids. What do they watch? They don't have an imagination. It's okay to have an imagination. Uh, I'm. I loved having an imagination. Ooh, wow, cool. And then you're a child. You shouldn't be prone to what's really going. Like Lord have mercy. And that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. They were taught. The boys were taught to be boys and to be men at a young age, seemed like, and the girls were taught how to be women at a young age. That's what it seemed like to me. It's crazy.
If you want to think of the Duggars as sheltered, I would say take Kendra's family and multiply that by 10.
Damn.
Not in a bad way. I would just say that they were much more, they adhered to the actual rules of independent fundamentalist Baptists. They're not IBLP. They were much more legalistic. Like when the Duggars said, well, we don't watch.
I think Kendra dad feels some type of way. Because I think in his mind, he probably, like, now that he see what's going on, yes, missive, right. I think, cooking, cleaning, and breeding, right. I think Kendra dad probably feel some sense of regret. Because he feel like, right, that they just been tools. And I think he has some kind of like, dang, I can't believe, like, this is what I'm thinking, if this is true, allegedly, like, I had my daughter to be around this, and now he see the effect it has. I can't believe I let my daughter stay with this. This is ridiculous. This is crazy.
TV, but we're going to use TV to be famous kind of thing. They were like, we don't use TV. We don't watch TV. We don't do that. So Kendra's experience in the real world was very, very limited.
Yeah.
And she met Joseph because Joseph showed up at her church with Austin Forsyth one day. And they were there because the Caldwells had pretty daughters and they needed dates. Because that's how in Fundyland you find your dates. You go to church. And so Joseph sort of enmeshed himself in the Caldwell's church. And that's how the Caldwells got introduced to the Duggars. They did not watch the show and they didn't know anything about the Duggars. Austin and Joseph just showed up at their church one day. So when the Caldwells started going to church with the Caldwells, they were kind of thrust into a situation where the Duggars today said that the Caldwells actually sought out the limelight and fame. That's actually the opposite, because the Duggars sought out the limelight and fame, and the Duggar sons found the Caldwells and brought them into the limelight and fame. And by the way, the Caldwells made $0. Paul Caldwell officiated multiple weddings on the show and made no money, but never wanted a dime for it. Didn't believe that the show was ethical. He thought it was exploitative. He didn't like it because friends say that he said it was all fake. But Kendra was very naive, okay? Because she was very, very sheltered, way more than the Duggars. And so she was very sheltered. She didn't know a lot about anything. And then in comes Joseph, who needed a wife, according to Jim Bob. And Joseph pursued her hard.
What?
At the same time Jed did.
Why would they do that? Well, we'll be talking about, I think I'll be talking about them this Wednesday. I have to look on the list. Hold on, because I know we have Krishan that we're talking about Wednesday, because I broke down the content for us to talk. You know what I'm saying? It won't be so mumbo jumbo. We probably can throw them in, because I'm going to do a little bit of Isabella Brown, but they'll probably be thrown in with her and her husband, who I think are cult-like behavior too.
And he beat out Jed because he was a better, smoother talker and easier. He more easily hid his narcissism and his manipulation. Jed's a talker. Jed is a lot like Josh. He comes off very smarmy. If you talk to people, he's like the second Josh. Joe is as manipulative, but he's more like his dad. See, Jim Bob's not a good talker. He's not a good orator. He's really not good with the public face. He relied on Josh a lot for that, and now he relies on Jed for that. And Joseph and his dad are more in the background, while still crazy, malignant narcissists. So Joseph swoops in, but he's at this point 4 years older than Kendra. He's already dated someone, all right, named Carlin Bates. He already had been accused of going too far with Carlin and a relationship being broken up because he crossed lines with her that made her uncomfortable. So Joseph and Kendra were his first kiss was not Kendra's. And he didn't tell that to Kendra, although Kendra is aware and did know that he had a thing with Carlin, because a friend of hers today told me that she hates Carlin Bates, hates her, because apparently in this world, if someone dates someone else, it's like you've stolen somebody else's husband, even though they weren't together. But a friend of hers told me that Kendra was very, very naive about intimacy and knew next to nothing about it. And that Kendra had confided in this friend that prior to getting married, she had to be sat down and told what sex was because she didn't know what it was. And she didn't know what she was going to be required to do as a wife.
Mm-hmm.
And this friend said that Kendra told her that she cried. And I don't know if she cried because she didn't understand and she wasn't aware.
It's not monetized yet, Cancer, but I can do members and I can do super chats. We're not monetized with the ads yet. To get the ads and stuff, it will be, because they done changed it now. It'll be like 138. So we at 864, so I'm trying to get it monetized.
Or she cried because that was going to be her responsibility.
Yeah, they feel
But walking into this, she had absolutely no clue what she was getting herself into and didn't know what it was. And so she was very naive. And this is not uncommon in some of these families. And sometimes they will not talk about sex until their marriage, like kids a week before they get married, especially the girls, if they're very sheltered, may not know anything about it. So imagine that you're Kendra that's been very naive, very sheltered, and knows very little about sex. And then right before you get married, your mother-in-law, Michelle, hands you this list that tells you what you should expect on your honeymoon. You have zero understanding of what's normal and what's not normal. And you get a list from the Duggars, which is the honeymoon list.
Mm-hmm.
I've read this to you before, but this list was specifically given to Kendra and Joe. That's where this list came from. That's how I got it. One of their friends shared it with me. And in it, there's this like...
Listen, they pulling up to Michelle where she work at. I think she works somewhere. They've been pulling up on Michelle. Thank you, Cancer. They be pulling up on Michelle. I think I played the video in a couple of, like 2 lives ago about them. That man pulled up on her.
Like itemized checklist of things they should do. Okay. And in one of the parts, it says, let your husband help you out of the wedding dress for his first look. Bring one regular pillow just for propping up the wife's heel for discomfort. Perfumed shower to be connected and one and in love. It is pregnancy. To get the hips in a position where it goes straight in and it'll get you pregnant. You don't need to have your hips propped on a pillow. You really don't.
You know.
But if that's all the guy views you as, is this is all that I need, that's all you are to me.
It's giving to me that they look at women as incubators, breeders. That's what they are. They clean the house, cook the food, and breed. clean the house, cook the food, breathe, and whatever else. And that's what it gives to me. They don't look at them as they're equal or they're equally yoked. I had to stop for a minute to get my thoughts together on that. That's what they are to them.
I mean, it's just so demeaning. There's nothing about his body, right?
Nothing.
They give no instructions to the man
Yep.
about how his body is supposed to react. Apparently, the boys are just supposed to know what to do, but the girls are so dumb. There's no instructions to Joseph on what he's supposed to do to himself. And then all of these perfumes and sprays and things, I just keep thinking, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going to get an infection. They have it so clinical that every inch of the
No,
woman's
they're
body
not.
is objectified. His isn't even discussed. But one time when they mentioned that instead of fingers, they can use his part. That's it. He doesn't need to get body sprays. He doesn't need to get perfumes for his parts. He doesn't need to keep himself clean. They don't ask him to wear wipes. And you don't need to wear a pad for wetness. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine that you know nothing, and then this is what your framework is. It is setting you up to accept SA in your marriage. And it's setting you up from day one to say that, like, it's my only job is to be a vehicle for my husband. And I just want to say this to anyone who's listening, that if you're in this culture and you got this list, throw it away, burn it. Don't ever use it again. If you're a parent giving out this list, burn it. Don't ever use it again. If you got this list, leave a comment. Let me know. I don't want to know the scary details, but I know several people that got the list and were horrified. And I just want to say clearly that intimacy in a relationship is not a one-way street. Women are not and do not exist for the sole pleasure of a man. What Jim Bob is literally giving play-by-play advice, it's like he's controlling even how they have intimacy. And my guess is that when you objectify women so much and their bodies are viewed in this way, where you're giving step-by-step instructions on how you're supposed to handle a female's body as though it's like a foreign object, then the men start viewing the women as foreign objects, which is why so many women in the IBLP have described to me like their first night being like they were SA'd. And because many of these relationships are forced or arranged, everyone keeps saying, but Katie, arranged marriages are okay if consent is involved. There is no consent, I don't think. I mean, Kendra's family is different because they allow their kids to say yes or no. Lauren said no, and it was her decision not to date Jason. She did not want to be with Jason. She got engaged to another guy, and then she cut that off too. So I think like not all parents are the same, but in some cases, and with the Duggar girls and like with the Duggar sons, these were very highly forced, coerced marriages. Even the girls that are adults, Jim Bob found Derek. Austin wanted Ginger, but because Ginger didn't want him,
I'm
Jim
sorry,
Bob
that's
offered
his
Joy.
on every morning.
You know, Ben literally was a fanboy that stalked Jessa and be burnt to the ground because this list sets up.
Okay, I'm gonna go back. We're gonna watch another one. We're gonna be out. I'm sitting here talking about we're gonna do an hour. This is a lot. Oh, we're gonna have to keep up with them. We're gonna continue our rabbit hole with the Duggars. It's so much.
From the subculture that is the cult of the IBLP. And one thing that we haven't talked about is why do all of these guys do these things in the IBLP?
It's a lot.
I want to tell you something. IBLP is a patriarchal system where men can never actually fail.
Mhm.
That's right. They always have a get out of jail free card and they have full control. And when you live in a world where men can never fail and have full control, the outcomes can be disastrous. In the men's manual, published by the Institute of Basic Life Principles. It says, a man who fails is not failure. A man who fails and gives up is a failure. However, God promises beauty for ashes. God allows us to fail when we try to succeed in our own strength. His most powerful illustrations have been in the lives of men who knew their own weaknesses, but who learned how to draw upon God's strength. Failure leaves scars, but these scars can be turned into God's glory for sons and daughters. Disobedience always results in loss and regret. When the nation of Israel disobeyed God, he scattered the families and destroyed the temple. Later, the people repented and rebuilt the temple, but it was always less.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm like, what's his name? Ginger husband now. Where was that at in the Bible? Anybody know? Nobody knows. So my question is, I believe that he did take, when they came up with this situation, they took it and reversed what they were trying to do and say, and they put people in this position to live scared, totally scared. Like I believe that when she said that. I do. Because there's no goddamn way. Like, just to me, yeah, they're being, yeah, on the wedding night, their first night that should be special to them. They're forcing on them.
Glorious than the original structure. However, God promised to make it more glorious than the former temple if he would be obedient to him. The dreams of fathers are often fulfilled by their sons and daughters. Children tend to adopt their father's values. If their chief concern is for temporal things, theirs will often be also. However, children may take a different approach to temporal things. If, for example, a father is overly concerned about retirement, his son may be slothful on the basis of that. If retirement is so important, he will beat his father to it. When sons and daughters adopt their father's God-given goals, the father can provide much needed encouragement, resources, and counsel for those goals. The sins of fathers are passed to the third and fourth generation. A father must be a rebuilder, no matter what his past failures may have been. His sins tend to recur in the lives of his sons and daughters. The manifestations may differ, but the basic failure will be there. When sons and daughters react to their father, they become just like him, either in actions or attitudes or both. A man who fails and gives up is a failure. But if you have a sin, according to the IBLP, you can turn that into a strength. Here's the thing about the IBLP. When you start reading it, it doesn't seem sinister. It does, but they don't tell you everything all at once. But what man doesn't like to hear that they're not a failure? What man doesn't like to hear that if you do something so reprehensible, you can actually use that to become mighty?
And I want y'all to remember, when he was on that call with his wife, with Kendra, he was like, I'm just praying. I'm praying really, really hard. And she was like, I know, it's going to be okay. He was like, he's trying to pray whatever is wrong with him away. Instead of him taking himself to somebody and trying to figure out and going inside and figure out, why am I like this? What is wrong with me? This is not normal to do this. Something is wrong. So in their mind, they believe pray it away. No, it don't work like that. You still have that problem. That's like they believe if a person is an addict, they should be shunned from the family and they need to go pray because you can't be. It's crazy to me. I think I did play the phone calls. Yeah, I played them in like I'm trying to think what live I played it in. I think when I first did it about them, I played the phone calls. And it was very crazy because he's sitting here just I'm listening to him and I'm like, sir, you cannot pray that away. Something is wrong with something wrong with you and your brother. Your brother, something is wrong. There's no way y'all just run around touching on all these girls. I wonder that too. But then when I did a live before, it was talked about how the grandfather wasn't abusive. Allegedly. He was allegedly abusive. There was some secrets with abuse. And they tried to hide that from the people. Have you noticed they barely talked about their grandfather? Barely talked about their grandfather. Barely. So it's like, what's really going on? It's crazy. And it's like, my thing is, if you don't want nobody to know what y'all do behind closed doors, don't jump on TV because people see y'all with all these kids. The boys, something is wrong with them. You can't pray that away. And you know what? I say this when it comes to Christians, and I have to be honest, growing up in a Christian household, it was you don't need therapy, you need to pray. No, you need to talk to somebody. You have issues that it is okay. You can't pray that away. It's people with bipolar that can't pray that away. Schizophrenia, it's out there. They still live in this world where they feel like this is so long ago. None of that exists. It exists. There's something wrong.
And it can be used to show God's strength. That's the basis of the IBLP. Every time something happens, like with one of these guys, when they stumble, that's what they call it, a moral failure. It can be used as a testimony of God's will and God's strength. It's a test to get them to strength. So then when they go, they can say, well, I used to struggle with X, Y, and Z, or I did X, Y, and Z. And now through God's glory, I am this. It's used as a badge. So the worse you get, and if you can overcome it, the better, because that is more proof that what Bill Gothard taught you is truth.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Gothard claimed that his teachings were based on the Bible, but what you learn is that it's really not, because a lot of what his teachings are just ridiculous. But to truly understand,
thank you,
why men in this,
please share the live if you can and hit that like button. Please subscribe and please come in. We're gonna do more of these. Yes.
Culture behave badly.
Yes.
I would like to
this cult religion they have is very male-centered. Have y'all noticed that Michelle never talks about the disagreements her and her husband have? And we know they have some, like regular normal marriage couples, that it is okay to sometimes not like your husband. The fact that the husband have to leave the home is crazy while she is on a cycle. If you don't take yourself to Walgreens, get your wife some pads, get her some Tylenol, a heat compression, fix her some tea, let her get some rest. Okay, let her get some rest on her monthly. I know something. There is no way that this man have told y'all to leave your wife. Excuse me, she needs you. Hello? Honey, if you don't get that chamomile tea for that lady with some honey and ginger in it, let her pop some Tylenol when the kids are asleep, put her a bottle of water next to her, and y'all go to bed. I know something. And when the kids are asleep, take her to her favorite spot. Or when when y'all used to have the older kids, take that lady to go get her something on her cycle, get her some ice cream and some me time. Yes, they have to leave the home. They have to leave the home. I know you lying. I know you are lying. He could have had them kids watching. He take her out on if she want to have something like a burger, or she got a taste for it, or ice cream. Take her. It's okay. It's normal. And let the older kids watch them while y'all go get some ice cream and the burgers at the time. Now that I notice he was never home on her time of the month is wild to me. I would want my husband home. Ooh, I got a craving for such and such. A woman love that. Shoot, she would love a. Oh, you brought me. Oh, I like a burger with extra sauce. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, you brought me ice cream. You got me. You got me. Oh my God, thank you. You probably would have had more kids. It's the simple things.
Introduce you to the umbrella of authority and how families are taught that you must remain under God-given authority. So there's this part in the man's manual where they say, how do I motivate my family to remain under God-given authority?
Manual.
And there's this little picture, and it shows that a father is above the mother, a mother is above the child, and as long as they stay under the umbrella of protection on the left side, you're supposed to stay. The right side is where you can get into rebellion, and that's where Satan is. And then if you get out past rebellion, you become witchcraft. It says witchcraft is a devastating sin, but God states that the sin of rebellion is just like the sin of witchcraft. Both sins take us out from under God's protection and put us under the destruction power of Satan. God places every person under authority, the authority of parents, government, godly church, leaders, and employers. Every human authority, however, is under the authority of God and the Bible. As long as we are under God-ordained authority, Satan cannot get through to us with this destructive temptations. If we get out from under that protective covering of our authority, however, we expose ourselves to the realm and the power of Satan's control. Yeah. So this isn't really biblical. And it's also definitely, there is no umbrella, by the way, in the Bible. And there's literally nothing in the Bible that says that if you get out from under your authority, you're going to become a witch, or it's like akin to witchcraft and Satan's going to get there. All right. This is just all freaking made up. It's to enforce a patriarchy. And it claims that men are the protective covering for all. So somehow, just because a man is simply born a man, they are automatically better than a female for no other reason than their bits. Okay. So that's all the reason why they get to be in control. It's just because they happen to have the bits. And those little bits determine they have full control. And so the mom has to stay under the authority. Otherwise, Satan is going to come and get her. And because the man has all of the authority and he's the one determining whether or not you're in rebellion or whether or not you're, on the verge of becoming and gaining and going into witchcraft, you cannot question your authority. You're not allowed to, which isn't biblical. Now, the other point I wanted to share with you from the IBLP, so you understand why this keeps happening, is I want to tell you how they actually counsel people on what happens when you are essayed. All right. There is a part of the anger management seminar where they go into essay. All right. And they say that it's very simple. It has 10 points. If it was this simple to counsel through essay, we wouldn't need therapists. We wouldn't need doctors. We wouldn't need anything.
Come on now.
So he says in the seminar that God let essay happen because you defrauded the victim by wearing immodest dresses, indecent exposure, being out from the protection of the parent, and being with.
Let me say this, and I'm gonna be honest. Ginger said that she said that it was to control, because it was a way that parents need to control their children. around the time in the 70s because it was so much exposure to things. I'm going to say this. Lutz had this conversation last night. Shout out to sis. And we were all saying, coming from the same people. Let me leave that out. That's for another time. I want to say what I want to say so bad. But I will say this. No disrespect intended. I don't care if she dressed in some jeans. If he nasty, he damn nasty. It ain't nothing that girl can put on. Nothing a female can put on to make somebody have control of their emotions, of things, of being a predator. Nothing. She can wear something, the longest skirt and dress. He's still gonna have an urge to be a predator unless he gets some help. Something is wrong. That ain't normal. And if you touching on people at a young age, something is wrong. Okay? There is nothing you can do to stop a predator, a sick person. They're sick mentally. Something is wrong. That is not normal. So for you to come on here and say a woman should have clothes on, maybe he won't lust, baby, that is you are a man. You don't have no self-control. You're still going to lust. You have no self-control. You're blaming the victim and you're telling these men, yeah, you don't have to have self-control. That's their fault. Are you kidding me? Throw it in the trash. Throw it in the trash. You're telling men it's okay to not have self-control. Are you for real? Like Sprinkle say, there were laws put in place for animals against men. Are you serious right now? So if he sat here and looked at a cow and thought the cow was so luscious, you're going to blame the cow? I'm not understanding here. What are we doing? Y'all went by this? That's not normal. That's not normal. Forcing a woman to her body to have a child is not normal. We need a child by this time. You can't tell nobody body what to do. That's not your call. This is sick.
Evil friends. So no matter what happens, the reason why the victim was assaulted, it's always their fault. They did something to cause it. It says, is there any guilt for disobedience, for not reporting it? Failing to report it allows others to be also abused. They don't say who to report it to, though, you guys. Right. Okay. And then it says, clear the guilt by confessing it to God. Explain the potential of a moral vaccination and a test of genuine love by casting out fear for marriage. Yeah. So they're told that if someone did it, you must confess. Okay. Well, but you also must confess that you were abused. And then they have a whole section that says, but if the abused was not at fault. So at the beginning, the abused is at fault. But if they're not, God compensated physical abuse with spiritual power. What is being mighty in spirit? Great faith, spiritual discernment, genuine love, wisdom and understanding, creativity, energy, enthusiasm, joy, and inner peace. If you had to choose, would you rather have no physical abuse or be mighty in spirit? What would you choose? And then if you are abused, you're told that bitterness and anger and frustration will damage your body. And then you...
I ain't trying to be funny, but that's kind of similarity to Christianity and how some people are. Well, you got to forgive. Excuse me? Will that ever undo the trauma that somebody's done to me? Will that ever undo how I feel? Will that ever undo with the question of me asking, why did this happen to me? What did I do wrong? Why did they do that? I don't understand. You can never tell a victim of any kind of abuse how to feel. Like, you can't just, no. You can't sit there and go, oh, well, God say forgive. Listen, I don't have the strength to forgive that. I'm sorry if that's what you want to still be. I feel like hearing the God say forgive and his excuse on what to forgive. That's just me. I can't forgive. Like, do you not know the trauma that it leaves behind? To where, let's remember. Okay, let's take Aretha Franklin. May she rest in peace. She got essayed in her grandmother and father's house after her mother was unalived. Remember, she left and it was under. She told the story. It was a story, right? She had a child at 13. She carried that with her for a long time. And she became an alcoholic because that bothered her. That woman ain't get that. She couldn't fathom to think, why would somebody do that to her? Why? Why? Why would you do that to me? Like, that's how she thought. So why would you think it's okay to tell what? That takes a very long time. That's traumatic when it keeps happening to you. Then on top of that, you got to heal from that. You can't just easily forgive. It takes a while. That is crazy to me.
You have to place yourself at his altar, forgive the offender, and turn it over to God for him to disciple or ask God to pardon and regain surrendered ground cleanse with rimas. That's
So
a whole thing that they do.
He's
rimas. It's a whole
for
like
victims. That's what
woo-woo
that is.
thing that the IBLP does.
Not,
So did you
I'm
see
sorry,
how
not an excuse for the victim, excuse for the predator. Excuse me. I had to say that correctly.
in counseling, it's not that the victim needs help. It's that, well, it's actually your fault this happened to you. You dressed a certain way, you exposed someone, you weren't with your parents, you were evil. But if you weren't, like you were, say, just an innocent child, well, then that just made you mightier in spirit. And would you rather be mighty in spirit or not be abused? So see, it's really I'm really glad this happened to you. And you can't be bitter about it, and you have to forgive the abuser. So this is why this perpetuates, because it doesn't tell offenders why they offend. It just says this is why God allows it, and it's your fault.
Yeah,
Bill Gothard forgets that there's free will. And so he forgets that in the Bible, they tell you that you have the will to do as you please, and that he does not actually make what happens happen. And if you want to be a good Christian or a bad Christian, you must not hurt others, especially little ones.
Right.
Right. And he looks at God as like the puppet master who's choosing this to happen to you. It's very literal and it's very flawed and it's not biblical. And the problem with the way that this is packaged to people who are Christian is that they're told that this is Christian. They're told that it's biblical, and he will throw in a tiny little line that will make you think that, well, it's rooted in the Bible, but it's not. It's twisting the Bible, and it's adding a bunch of rules that just don't exist. You see, Jesus never actually counseled on SA, and I guarantee you that Jesus would have never, ever blamed the victim. There's thousands of pamphlets and pages and books and wisdom books and teachings that all reinforce the main purpose of the main topics of what I just told you. Men can actually never fail because failing means they can use the failure to become stronger. So they're not blamed for their failure. Do you see how they blamed the victim for what happened to them, but they didn't blame the man for doing it? And then they said that even if you do fail, you can use that to become a better person. There's very little time when you go through any of their literature where the man is ever at fault. because they can't be at fault, because under his concept, men are gods. So nothing a man does or says is wrong. And even the worst sins in the eyes of Gothard are there only to make them a better person. And so the man is reinforced that they're in control. They own their wives and children. They're in charge of their spiritual and like whole life, that if their wives and children disobey them, they're going to be going into witchcraft. They're not penalized, though, by the way. If the father fails, they're not penalized, because you can just use that to be a better man.
Yeah.
And then when things happen to the people underneath them, like to the wife or to the children, it's really not the fault of the.
I'm gonna put it this way. They're very like she said, I mean, it's very rooted into patriarchy. And we have to be honest, it's very misogynistic, I'm sorry, for you to have rules for the women and blame the women and who are victims, and not have rules standard for the man and how to carry himself. So the men can run rapid. That's so great. Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna do what we want you to do and just make babies, because that's what you're intended to understand, that the women are the baby makers. So you can run rapid, do whatever you want to do, woohoo, have a great time. That is crazy as hell. I'm sorry. Excuse my French or words. That is crazy. That is insane.
Perpetrator, it's the fault of the persons that's perpetrated. And because that person is a child or a woman, often they have no authority. And so even if they wanted to speak up, they can't, because the authority is the man.
Yeah.
And then they have like 30 million steps that they have to take if they want to report something. So men have full control. It's never their fault. And even when it is their fault,
It is
just really going to be their testimony, because it's not actually their fault. That's just a failure. So now that you understand this very basic high level framework, and if you're from the IBLP, friends, don't get mad at me that I'm not going to go really, really in deep. I mean, I know so much about the IBLP, but I feel like these different components should build on the framework of this. Why are all the men around him like this? It's because of that, because there's no consequences for their actions. They have supreme authority.
That's true. And that's the part. And I think that that's what they're trying to go back to now, because they don't like that women are having control over their bodies and saying no. And that's so, I mean, that's not okay. Like, we have the right. I mean, who are these people? Excuse me. Like, it's crazy to me.
And even in a family structure, the boy family members have more authority over the girls. And when the girls are victimized by their brothers, it's their fault. And then take into account that all sexual sin and like human sexuality is prohibited and admonished, and you can't allow the actual natural development of sexuality to form. And where every single part of the natural human experience and the developments of the sexuality of a child, from child to adult, because there's normal sexual behavior for children from the time they're born until they become an adult. And there's certain curiosities that kids go through and they question and they want to know about as they get older. But in the IBLP, they're not allowed to have those questions, and every single thing they do is considered bad. So normal exploration is evil. And so they put on all these limits and guardrails because they need to prevent the sin of lust. It's very diluted and demented. But all of this is to say is that once everything happens, they also have this rule in the IBLP that you're not supposed to give a bad report about a Christian. And so it's, even if you know something has happened, if you know something that someone's done, he tells you that to give a bad report about another Christian is that you need to warn others about this person. What this motive will tell you, he tells you, is to feel pride of appearing to be better than others. And then he tells you that God's truth says to speak not evil one of another. The brethren, if a man be overtaketh in a fault, ye which are spiritual restore such are one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. You don't want to dredge up dissent in the brethren. So you're not allowed to make a bad report. You're not supposed to speak badly about people. You're also told that you're not supposed to judge others, because that means you're actually condemning in others what you can't conquer in yourself. He tells you that you're not supposed to gossip someone who falsely accused you, because that's getting revenge for what he did to you. So when you're in a system that tells you you're not allowed to give a bad report about anyone, so you can't say anything about anyone, and then you feel guilty because God says that you're not supposed to stir up dissension within the brethren, you're not supposed to judge, then you will be judged. You're not supposed to
name the boy Israel though. I be damn. Really? Ain't going live again till 7:15. That's crazy. It's just not coming in. Yeah, they are in a cult. Like, they named that baby Israel for real. Child.
gossip or share information, and they view anything of speaking about someone gossip. And so I always know when the IBLP is like in my comments, because they start talking about how my reporting is gossip.
Wow.
And it's just not gossip when you start talking about what is happening and why these men are doing this.
That's normal.
They're in a system where it's never their fault. It's always the victim's fault. Men can never fail, and you aren't allowed to talk about it. Otherwise, you're going to stir up dissension, and it's against the Bible. And then you're going to be outside the authority, and you're going to be in witchcraft. At every step of the way, the fear of damnation and hell and burning with witches and the devil is always the fear. Like, bad things are going to happen to you if you don't obey. And they drill that into these kids over and over and over again. And so everyone lives in fear. And then all of the crimes are covered up because they don't report, because you don't want to make a bad report. A lot of the rules that came in like this into the IBLP happened after Bill Gothard's brother was accused of misconduct of the intimate nature, where his brother was bringing women up to the Michigan property that no longer is owned by the IBLP, and he was accused of SA, and there was a huge scandal, and his brother was removed by the board, and Gothard was actually removed for a time, and then he reinstated himself. And so when he came back after what his brother had done, then everything in the IBLP became more and more like it's never the guy's fault. And he structured all of the rules around it's always the victim's fault. And he reinforced this. And then he made it so that telling on anyone was like akin to a mortal sin. And so his rules that he created while he designed them around the Bible were truly created because his brother got in trouble. He got kicked out of the IBLP. He suddenly like gets back into the IBLP. And this happened in the 1970s and 80s. All right. And when he comes back, then it becomes even more strict, even more shaming and degrading of women, and even more authoritarian as far as how he views men and what men can do. And so the cult really was designed to reinforce the control that Gothard had over people, because he could never be questioned. And the fathers that he would create the many cults of in their families could never be questioned. And so men then would flock to this cult because it reinforced their quest for domination. And so the type of men.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Pure 51. I'm like, yeah, I'm tired, y'all. I appreciate y'all helping me with this live. I am tired, okay? I ain't been asleep. I've been up since 10 a.m. yesterday. Thank y'all for helping me, okay? Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. Oh, Lord Jesus. I appreciate it. They are IBLP. I'm sorry. This is I guess they honey, y'all forgive me. I'm sitting here saying, yeah, and I'm looking, not looking, and trying to get this stuff up to later. I apologize, y'all. I'm exhausted. Thank you, Pure 50, Pure Air. But yes, they are IBLP. So they believe in just taking parts of the Bible and putting it together for their own understanding. They have rules for the women, and the men just free. To me, they're free to reign and do whatever the hell they want to, but you just can't talk about it. You got to be quiet. They like Handmaid's Tale, that kind of thing, in a way.
That we're interested in bringing their families into this. Often we're extremely narcissistic and had power trips and egos. And so they sought out a curriculum that reinforced that they could be in control. And Jim Bob thrives in that because that's what he wants. That's my opinion.
What?
So when you talk about
really, I'm gonna have to look them up too, because I don't. To me, I want to be honest with y'all. I feel like this whole thing of from the Old Testament, exactly. And people get mad when people be like, y'all still in the Old Testament. Now we're not. Yeah, I mean, let's be for real. The whole thing is the same way. They just take bits and pieces from the like. It's just, and some people still believe they in the Old Testament. We in the goddamn new.
Why are all these boys doing it? That's why. And then Joseph grows up and his best friends are just like him. Okay. So Nathan Bates, I'm not sure if you're aware, he was on Bringing Up Bates. He's married to a woman named Esther. They have a couple kids. They actually live in Arkansas. Well, in the last few months,
I'm not trying to be rude, but he aged. Wow, we're gonna have to do Bringing Up Bates too, because that's interesting.
On Reddit, on forums, he's been accused of allegedly essaying a couple of his sisters. Warden Bates.
Speaking of a compound, is one I keep saying is one that happened in 1993. I do want to touch on. They made it into a museum, right? And I'm gonna touch on it. If I don't touch on it this Wednesday, we're gonna touch. Yes, thank you, Cancer. Hey, Lisa. Yes, then Waco. It was ran by. Okay, I'm glad you talk about that pure Area 51. So listen, they have it as a museum, right? Now, word on the curb is allegedly that I heard that they trying to restart it again. You didn't hear it from me, but they trying to restart that one again, girl. I say what now? They trying to restart it again. Mm-hmm. Yep.
His brother has been running around hooking up with girls all over the country, sending pics to minors at times that are highly inappropriate. And he's 22 years old. He sleeps around. He's having sex with all these women, and he's in a relationship. There's a whole thing on the TikTok about these girls that Warden is having sex with. And some of them are accusing him of worse than that. But he's also telling these women that my brother Nathan did these things to my sisters. And then he's telling people who the sisters were. Now that's alleged. But he's saying in his family, Nathan Bates, his brother, did this. He's also, to these girls, said that other of his brothers have done this. And his dad covered it up. Because you don't make a.
This is, the Bates. Remember Bringing Up the Bates? They were the friends to the Duggars. That's who that is. That's one of the sons. We're going to talk about that too. Because I heard about that a little bit. And how the girls was coming out. It was 4 girls coming out saying that they had relations with him and he's married. He's married to her. And he cheating on her.
False report. You don't make a bad report. Nathan was one of Joseph's best friends growing up, and then Joseph's other best friend growing up was named Andrew Patton, and that was another one of his friends was Austin Forsyth was in that group too. And Andrew, who is not a public figure,
yes,
he's still friends with these guys. He goes to
Bringing Up the Bass was just like the Duggars. They were friends. They had a show, and I think they only ran for like 2 seasons. And the Duggars introduced them to TLC. They had a show. Yep.
Church with the Duggars, and he's been accused by his sister too. So all of these guys that are around him, Nathan, Andrew, his brother Josh, and then his own brothers are engaging in it. And it perpetuates because it's never their fault and it's always the victim's fault. And these poor girls who are in this culture are being shamed and degraded and told that it's their fault. So when I say, why is everyone like this? This is why. I know there's been a lot that has been said about Amy Duggar King's book, and that this all starts with Grandpa Duggar. And maybe, but I just don't. When I see in Jim Bob is he was definitely exposed to a very dysfunctional father who cheated on his mother and was very physically and emotionally, and there's accusations that he did things to children as well. Jim Bob did not appear to be a target of that. His father also went to prison and he was a con artist. And so, yes, Jim Bob did get some of this criminal activity as far as like the conning and the sleazy, like the salesman and the manipulation. That definitely came from his father. And then the mistreating of women, he learned that by watching his father.
Now listen, remember we heard somebody say that on TikTok that allegedly that's what they heard. They weren't sure if it was true, but Jim Bob did watch his daddy be a pauper of the Rolling Stones. Now, I didn't say it. The people are saying it. I didn't say it. So I'm like, well, what is really going on? That's what they said, y'all. I think they were the first with the questionable. Sometimes I want to blame TLC, but I want to say this too, and I thought about it this way. TLC is exposing this stuff that's going on that nobody is getting exposed to, and they're showing what's really going on that we don't know about. That's how I feel about it. They telling something that we need to know. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna keep my mouth closed. I don't want them coming after me because they done expose. They tried to expose Mary. I'm a hush. Remember?
Because his grandfather or his dad was horrible to Mary. But Mary also got involved in the IBLP when Jim Bob was about 12 years old. And so that's when you cannot get divorced comes in, because Gothard says you cannot divorce, period. There's no grounds for divorce ever. So he watched what his dad did to his mom and how his dad mistreated his mom. His dad cheated on his mom. And by the way, I don't think it should surprise you, but Jim Bob has been accused of having multiple affairs.
I heard that too.
There's always been rumors about certain women that have been in his life that he was just too close to.
Before the situation with Josh, there was a situation that I heard about him, but nobody could confirm it. Nobody said anything. Then that's when the Josh stuff came out. But I remember hearing Jim Bob was he was out there and he said, "Don't believe nothing that ain't true." Or I was like, I don't know, Jim. You know, everybody say they don't cheat, and it's always something. So I don't know. I heard about that. Like the second, third, fourth. They was going into their season. June. Yeah, June was. Yep, Sugar Bear. Yep. Sugar Bear too. Yeah.
And he'll deny it. and Michelle will think it's her fault.
It was sugar.
But he's
probably.
done a lot of things where he is like really cozied up to women who are single moms and gone out of his way to help them and kind of groom them, and develops these sort of like close, inappropriate relationships where a lot of people around them think that Jim Bob is unfaithful. All right. And he'll say he's not. I guarantee you he'll say he's not. But that's what people have told me for years, is that Jim Bob does seem to be repeating patterns of his dad by not being the most faithful husband, which again, he'll deny. I'm just going to say that. Jim Bob will deny this. He will say, I am not unfaithful. That is trash. So you can decide what your thoughts are on that. I have no concrete proof. I'm just going off the like what people say in this culture. Okay. And then what I see more than anything when it comes to the essay, I don't know how much of that actually is reinforced by Grandpa Duggar, but it's definitely like, I think Jim Bob went to the IBLP because he needed stability, because he grew up in an unstable home. And then he found a system that he felt like he really could buy into. Jim Bob is also dyslexic and has a very hard time reading. And so if you talk to people that know Jim Bob, you would know that they would say that he really struggles with reading and reading comprehension. And he liked the Basic Institute because you could watch a video and you didn't have to read the Bible. And he didn't have to get into, and when he could read the words or read these books or go to these seminars, yes, they would have workbooks, but a lot of it was talking. And so he could listen to it and he would just digest it, and he would watch these videos over and over and over again. So he could like memorize it. But actually reading the Bible himself, that's something that his friends that I've talked to have said he's always struggled with because of his dyslexia. So they feel like the Institute was because he couldn't understand the Bible, so he went here and it was easier to understand. But it also reinforced a system that he wanted control, because he didn't have a lot of control in his life as a kid. And then he perpetuated the sins of his father, as Gothard would say. As far as the essay that's happening, you just have to look from the top down at how Jim Bob treats his wife like a piece of meat and an object, and how aggressive he is with his wife in front of them, and how he says that,
you know what, that he always gave me that. I used to try to give benefit of the doubt, but he has
all her needs, all he cares about in their relationship is physical. That's it. That's the only thing he cares about. And he doesn't really value his wife as a person or even see her as a human. He doesn't value her opinion in anything. So he's modeling to his sons that women are nothing. And then he's reinforced that women are nothing in the IBLP. I don't believe that Grandpa Duggar did anything to the boys. I don't. I think that Jim Bob exposed the sons to a really dysfunctional family. And I believe that Jim Bob himself has been a predator within his own family. I can't say about the children, but I can say that Michelle Duggar is 100% his victim based on how she speaks about their sex life. And that's my opinion. And so the kids grew up in a system where they watched their dad abuse their mom and cheat and steal and con and lie. And then they are growing up in a closed cult that's secretive and tight-lipped, and it's never the fault of the boys. And then they don't have any outlets for sex. It's all controlled. And then the outcome is that Jim Bob has become not just the IBLP follower, but his own branch of a leader within the IBLP, even though he's not even on the board or has any sort of leadership experience, like job, and he doesn't even speak there anymore. In Northwest Arkansas, to the people who follow him, he is the IBLP, and he's the one that's giving guidance to everyone on how to handle all of this, which is always, it's swept under the rug. And Gil Bates is underneath Jim because Jim got him a show. Jim built him a house.
She's saying, Ginger says she stands with, she does not stand with her brother. She says she stands with the victim. She cried on her podcast to say she was hurt by it. And that is basically they've been through a lot. And, you know, she just really, yeah, she's bothered by it. So yeah, that's what I heard. She did do a thing about it. I had put it on about it, that it was a lot. That it was a lot. Yeah, they are deluded.
Jim has done so much for Gil that Gil just follows whatever Jim Bob does. They might not be best friends anymore, but Gil is never going to go against Jim Bob because Gil's boys are just like Jim Bob's. His boys just have not been caught. Some people are starting to speak up about Warden. Warden and some of these girls are starting to say this is what Nathan is doing. There's been allegations against Zach.
Allegedly, that's what was said, but
there's even a whole thread on Reddit about what's going on in the family. There's cheating with Travis Clark and Katie Bates. Tori Bates' husband was also accused of infidelity. So you just because the Bates don't come up as much, you have to remember they weren't as famous.
Right.
Their show was not as big and they didn't have the same kind of clout. And Jim Bob knows that. And Gil's not going to go against Jim Bob because he looks and views Jim Bob as the reason he has what he has today to begin with. So he's loyal to Jim Bob. He will always protect Jim Bob. And he will always cover up what happened with his sons, just like he covered up what Gothard did to over 30 plus women that came forward. And I think a couple men that accused Gothard of SA or SH. So the question, the Bates are not better, but all of the men.
Michelle was young when they got married. I'm going to go through that story. Matter of fact, let me go through it one more time before we get up out of here. Let me go on TikTok because I was like, what? I'm going to play it one more time. I want y'all to hear these. Y'all gonna be like, what? Where is it? Okay. Let me play it. Yes. Ain't no way. Exactly. I think she was 19.
Little ones don't sit on big boys' laps or people that you don't know, or even family members, unless it's your daddy.
That is an old interview that Jim Bob and Michelle done.
Hold on. Where is the age? She say how she met them.
I'm 20 weeks pregnant, and we are going to have our ultrasound today, so we'll be fine.
Not warning people at all.
I need to find it. Okay.
Mommy and Daddy get to get married and kiss. Okay, well, because that's just what big people like to do.
Oh, you look so beautiful.
Wow. I'm trying to find that age because they said it. I think she was 19. Damn, where's that video? She said they were 19. Jim Bob was older than her. Matter of fact, hold on. Because they got too many goddamn clips. Because I had that thing in the okay. So they weren't that far apart, y'all. From what is being told, Michelle was 13 when she married Jim Bob Duggar on July 21st, 1984. She had recently graduated from high school and was roughly 2 months shy of her 18th birthday. They met when Michelle was a high school cheerleader and Jim Bob was 19, according to 8 and 9. They married 3 months after Michelle high school graduation. So she was 17. Let's see. Yeah. She was 2 months shy of her birthday. Her 18th birthday. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Wow, you were married at 6. Oh, girl. Oh my God. I know you. I don't blame you. I know you tore him up, girl. Tore him up. But yeah, she was. Yep. Mm-mm-mm. All right, y'all. I'm finna end it here. We gonna continue this conversation with them. We got the Bates, we got the Duggars, and it's somebody else. Oh, Isabella Brown that we're gonna talk about Wednesday. We gonna continue because there's a lot that's coming out, y'all. I'm finna get me some sleep, and I will see you guys at 7:15 tonight. Tonight. Yeah, see, like she in La La Land, girl. Always. Tonight, we gonna get it popping. We got a lot to talk about, honey. When I say a lot, y'all finna be like, oh, honey, it's a lot that's going on. We got Ray J and Sammy was about to fight. We got all them. Yes, y'all heard me. Ray J and Sammy old sales was finna boop, 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 boop. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're almost to 1K. I'm gonna get me some sleep. I'll see y'all tonight. Bye, y'all.